Good evening, good evening, everyone. I hope that you have enjoyed your last week since we've met, and that this week is an absolutely wonderful week for you. Had a little glitch on my computer. Hope that our screen and everything stayed current. But tonight's conversation is around small wins because they truly do matter. I started out on the social media talking to you about have you ever had a day where you felt like everything was going on, but nothing was really being accomplished or nothing really counted? I've had several days like that. And so I wanted to give you the opportunity to learn how to track and celebrate your wins because as I'll talk to you throughout this session today, um, it really matters that we track progress, even for us, because that makes us want to go further, just like we advance with our kids when they are seeing progress on whatever it is that they're working on. As always, my name is Tamara Gibson. I'm thankful for you being here today. I'm the CEO and owner of TT Innovative Solutions. We are a coaching, mentoring, test prep company that helps educators to advance in their professional career. Our four pillars are to teach, to train, to innovate, and to provide solutions. And today's solution, of course, is centered around your wins. My agenda for tonight is talking to you about why this is necessary and why it's important. I kind of alluded to that already. I'm going to share with you a few systems that could possibly help you to track. And then some definitely the piece that we all need to focus on is ways to celebrate. So let's jump right into it. Like I always say and always love to do is to jump into it. So they're particularly why? Why does this matter? As teachers, as those of you who are preparing for your tests and in leadership or whatever it is that your next level is going to be, we thrive off of momentum. We talk about momentum all the time. And I'm am the leader of a CEO group called CEO Pivot, and that is what we focus on. Because oftentimes we will not track our wins and we'll only think about what we haven't achieved and we will feel stuck. So to avoid, minimize, and even possibly take completely away burnout, discouragement that might creep in, it is important for us to notice the whys, to notice the wins, to notice how our brains are functioning and thinking about whatever is going on. So, in particular, our why has a lot to do about our brain. Our brain is wired for success. Truly, it is. And I wanted to make certain that we chatted about that. So this ties into us as educators, not only with our test prep that we go through, but just as a practical explanation. When I'm taking a test or preparing for it, every question that I mastered gives me this little dopamine burst. It gives me the desire to move forward and move on to my next. And every sub-test improvement that I make, and I see this, it's a micro victory over whatever it is that has been going on. Well, in the classroom, it's pretty much the same. I'm celebrating these wins that I've had with my students, helping to build motivation intrinsically, as well as my kids seeing me more prepared, more happy, more along the line. And it helps us to build strong relationships with our parents and our co-workers and all of those who are around us. So I can remember as a second grade teacher, I taught second, third, and several grade levels for physical education. But I can remember having a third grade class and the student was struggling. Like every single morning we come to the table, I just wanted her to remember, to recall, and to go through these sight words. We had built a dictionary together, a visual dictionary for her, along with words and understanding. And honestly, every day, it didn't seem like the information was taking hold. There was lots of stumbling, lots of guessing, very frustrated. But we kept going on and on. Weeks would pass by, again, not really feeling like it was moving fast enough. But there was a day that we were sitting down at the table. She proudly picked up this visual dictionary that we created together. And she read those words. And we could have, the excitement in the room could have exploded at that moment. The realization that the work that you were putting in actually was happening. It meant the world that even these few number of words, she was able to recognize it had become part of her. And so we want to have these types of progress. We want to see it, we want to know it, we want it to be tied to the things that we're doing. And so that's a big part of the reason why our brain needs those dopamine hits. It needs to know that we're on the right path. And whether the way in which we can celebrate this is truly through tracking systems. So what kinds of tracking systems? I love to use my Google Notes to keep me a checklist and check those things off that are working well. There are all kinds of different systems in which we could use checklist, to-do list, visual reminders, all kinds of systems. But today I'm going to talk to you about two. In thoughts of a daily tracker, because sometimes we need a daily win. We need to know that we're winning on a daily basis. And even in my story that I share with you, I still would keep notes about what is happening well as we were going along, even though we had not achieved the full goal. The recognition of the pictures in that visual dictionary was becoming more evident. The tracking of certain words when we were doing activities together, all of those things mattered. Okay, so a daily tracker would be great. Maybe a quick win journal, writing down 3 things that you accomplished within that day. I go back to the checklist I did again in regards to like test prep. Often I have clients writing down, or not necessarily writing down, let me take that away or rephrase it. Often my clients were, I suggest to them that this is our schedule. Keep track of how well you're doing with that particular schedule, according to whatever competency they're working on. Maybe a Google Sheet with a quick habit tracker would help you. Some phone reminders, setting an alarm, sticky tab notes on a wall, on a board to give yourself that. That's daily. Those are ideas for daily tracking. A weekly win could be dedicating 10 minutes to what went well at the end of the week, what went right, what kinds of things do you want to change. So moments of reflection are also important in regards to passing the exams, passing a section of the quiz, noting to yourself that now I have full command of that competency. If it's something classroom related with your students' improvement, really reflecting on that. So, and we could go further. I could talk about monthly wins too. As I mentioned before, my CEO group, CEO Pivot, we meet once a month. We meet as a group, and the one thing I want to know is, what is your win? And it can be a win that lasts from last month to the beginning of the year. We need to focus on the wins, on the positivity that's happening in our life and in our world, so that all of the I didn't get done don't drag us down. So again, these small wins, they truly do matter. And we must have a way in which to track it. We already know the brain reason why, and I actually have something I didn't mention, I'll mention at the end, about the statistical significance of these kinds of things. But now, ways to celebrate. Um, and celebrations, of course, are relative to each person. Okay, so you have to make it something that is going to be meaningful for you. But in particular, I want to focus on three ways in which you could do this. And I see an error that I've made on the page. I won't try to hyper focus on that. Some personal celebrations. Treat yourself to a small win. Um, it doesn't have to be tied to tie it to something you like. If it's I'm going to take this walk, if I'm going to listen to this song that's going to bring me joy and have me have my happy dance, or if it's going to be a favorite treat, once I make this particular goal, tie it to that. And excuse me, but treat yourself if it's a personal win, okay, in that matter. Share that win with your accountability partner. Now, we here at TT Innovative Solutions, we are not only test prep, coaching, and mentoring, but we're accountability partners because oftentimes when we're trying to do something new or go into a new area of our life, we need a coach. And so we would love to be your coach. Maybe it's a team or a classroom win. You have some sort of tracker that you placed in your classroom. Oftentimes, the tracker that I used was the percent of our tests that we just took and if we made improvements. The kids also had personal folders in which they could track their wins. So maybe we as a group are doing that. Share that. Shout that out to your grade level. Let them know how the kids are doing so that when they're in the hallway, whatever you're working on, they're making progress, small progress toward it. They can celebrate with the kids. Share with your principal. Giving yourselves a round of applause for the student progress. There's all kinds of different ways to do that. Sharing this also with the parents. Highlighting it in your newsletter if you have one, or if you're using Classroom Dojo as your way. But definitely share it that way. Now, here's where I'm going to try not to hyper focus on my arrow on the screen, but I'm going to instead focus on what I was trying to type and say. Sharing with leadership. So I set principles. That could be a team and classroom response that maybe the kids are choosing that when they make this big win or this small wins that they're leading up to their goal, that they want the principal to be notified. Or maybe it's you sharing with the board, sharing with your principal, sharing with your the leadership staff that you guys are making ground, that you are headed in the right direction, that you are in line with something that y'all have been working on, and share that information with them so that it becomes real. It becomes something that you're able to really notate and really home in on and focus on so that you and the kids, again, are practicing these celebrations that need to happen. Because again, as I said before, this is not just a Miss Gibson thing. This is research based. Harvard Business School, a progress to principle article that I found, said that tracking and celebrating even small accomplishments can increase your motivation and your positive emotions by 28%. I didn't go too deep into their study, but I know that even looking at some neuroscience research, it shows that when we accomplish progress, our brain, as I said before, releases dopamine. This neurotransmitter is linked to motivation and rewards. We have lots and lots of data regarding that. And so it is a way in which we have the opportunity to continue in our progress toward our particular goals. So, why again, the why? Our brains need this. our momentum need, to create the momentum that we need. If we're preparing for or prepping for the exam, it matters. If I'm in the classroom celebrating with my students the progress they made, it matters. Our neurotransmitters are linked to motivation and reward. It creates a success loop where our brains crave more progress and stay energized to keep us going toward our goals. In essence, celebrating these small wins literally means we are rewiring our brain to keep pushing forward and pushing forward to goals that are important to us. The tracking systems that you choose, they vary, but they need to be meaningful to you. Whether you do it daily, because oftentimes we need daily reminders or daily wins to get to the longevity of a weekly win, to get to the longevity of a monthly win. But we need to be seen and looking for progress, examples in which we are meeting our goals. If you decide to celebrate for your personal accomplishments as an educator or as a classroom celebration, take note that as the wins become bigger and bigger, connect it to leadership so that they know what you're working on. You know how hard you're working on things. So I ask you today, tonight, what's one small win that you can celebrate today? What's something that you have accomplished that's meaningful to you and for you? For me, the accomplishment is that I have been consistent in my pursuit to share with my crowd of people, educators, my love for education, the insights that I have gained over these 27 years of being an educator and being a resource to people regarding the joy that I still have in being an educator. No, I'm not physically in a classroom anymore. I've stepped out of that particular role and I've been out of that role for some time. But I go back into that role every summer because I don't want to forget the reason why I went to go get that degree, why I passed these certification exams, and why what I'm doing matters. I don't want to get too far away from the fact that I'm coaching, mentoring, and all of that to not continue to see how this progresses in a regular classroom. So if you're preparing for your exam or you're just making improvements in your classroom, I want to thank you again for watching with us today. I hope that the information that I brought to you is valuable. I invite you to join our mailing list and join our community, our Facebook community, and I'm shifting over to another community soon where we can really get deeper into the thoughts that we have as educators. Not necessarily a gripe session, but a joy session, because we need to be reminded of the great and wonderful things that we have going on in our life as educators to minimize that burnout, that discouraging feeling, those that come to rob and try to steal your joy. Please, I would love for you to to visit our website, ttinnovate.com. You have questions, concerns, or inquiries, we can be reached at info@ttinnovate.com. And join us on our path with social media, be it YouTube that we're on right now, X, which I'm getting a little bit back to building up, and most definitely Instagram and Facebook. I am grateful for your time tonight. I believe that you walked away with a few nuggets and a few ways to redirect your ideas of having these small wins. Small wins lead up to big goals, one step at a time. Good night, everyone. And I hope again to see you again next Monday. Same time, same channel at TT Innovates. Thank you and good night.